What is going on, guys? Sean Don coming back with a technical analysis. Here we have Josh Beiswanger, I believe it's pronounced, throwing the hammer. Let's get right into it. Let's take a look. A little odd angle being down on the ground, but you can still see most of what's going on. A little bit of strain in terms of connection with the hammer. You can see a lot of tension in the shoulders. And then it might just be the angle of the camera. But it also looks like there's not much height on the release. But also, I'm not a fan of saying put more height on the release. I don't think that's the right way to do it, but I think it's more of an indicator of what's going on in the throw rather than a cue in itself to work on. So, sip of Kofefe, and let's break it down. So, Josh. I mean, a shoulder width stance is pretty good to start, but I think maybe once again it's the view. Looks like you could maybe widen your stance up a little bit. Might help with stability a little bit, but then definitely sit down in your legs a little bit more. By sit down, I mean bend your knees. Keep your hips underneath you, but just sit your knees down into a quarter squat. That'll help with stability and reactivity a little bit. Otherwise, your winds turning back well. As you can see, like I said, legs are straight. Arms are pretty tight in, close towards the body. I like to think about reaching out and making big circles, big long radius. You want the orbit of the winds to be similar to the orbit of the throw, in my opinion. And as you can see, as the ball comes in front of you here, you are tight with the arms, and then you're very quick to turn back, which means the winds are very, very right-sided. You want to have a little bit more balance. Like I said, you want the orbit of the winds to be similar to the orbit of the throw, so you need a little bit more leftward ball movement, speaking in your perspective. So don't be afraid to let the ball come a little bit more left over that left side, and then it'll also go wider on the right side, which is good too. You turn back, but like I said, this right leg's straight, not much going to come from that right leg when it's being so straight. As you go through on entry, shift over to the left side's good, but this right elbow is down. Your hands look like they're kind of dropping the orbit. Like I said, it's kind of hard to tell for sure with this lower angle of the camera, but looks like there's about belly button level, which is okay. You can see some tension up in that left shoulder higher than the right. And then you can see this right leg, like I said, it's kind of just a post on the ground, which isn't a bad thing. But you can see it's not doing much working or turning with the hammer as it goes past. It's mostly this left side. You can see as the ball goes through zero, this left side just shifts back. And it shifts back pretty significantly until the right side starts to turn and get going with it. But so try to get that right leg working a little bit earlier and try to prevent this left side from shifting back so much. You really don't want it to do that at all until after the hammer goes through zero. So you want the hammer at this point, you want your left side to still be right here-ish, approximately. You want to keep that left shoulder, hip, knee, ankle all kind of in one line until the hammer goes through zero, in my opinion. But yeah, like I said, this left side kind of falls back early, and that's going to create some tension with this left side, and that's going to be the driver of the throw, which we will see later on. Okay, left foot turning open. Like I said, just a little bit high in the legs. Like I said, just got to get a little bit lower. Drop out down into a quarter squat. Think like a quarter front squat position. Right leg sneaking around into single support. Leaning a little heavy to the left or to the right. Your right. I don't even know what to say at this point. Camera view left. And you can see most of your weight's on this right foot, which isn't a bad thing. It's a balance of left and right side, and most people, well, I guess it really depends, but a lot of people are very heavy on their right side. Like I said, that comes from that shift back in the entry right here. That's going to throw a lot of weight back on this right side, which is good in some regards, but if you're too heavy on that right leg, you're not strong enough on this right leg, or your posture isn't good enough, then it's hard to get off of that right side, and then you just end up pulling that left side more and more instead of having a balance, like I said, between left and right side. And it looks like your hip is underneath you a little bit. Your hips could be a little bit more forwards towards the ball. This right hip could be a little bit more underneath you on the catch, and this left shoulder, could be a little bit more back over your hips as well. So think left or right hip forward, left shoulder a little bit more back. You just want to be a little bit more upright, in my opinion. And then you can see you're starting to shift back, get a little bit of pendulum. That left heel comes down a little late, and I think that's because you are a little bit heavy on this right. You can see the softness in this right foot. Ball of foot comes down, and then I guess you kind of come down flat-footed, which isn't a problem. I like doing that, but once again, if your right foot doesn't turn, then coming down flat-footed can kind of be a problem. Because then, yeah, you can see most of this action, once again, up until the ball gets to 0, comes from the left side turning only, and the right side is not doing much. Like I said, if you're going to land a little bit heavier in this right leg, that right leg has to do a lot to work yourself out of it and get that ball going around the left side pretty well. As the left heel comes down just before the ball, or just about as the ball gets to 0, I'd like to see that left come down a little bit earlier. That gives you a little bit more stability and sets up that left side axis a little bit better. And then you can also see, like I said, tension up in that left shoulder, hip, knee, ankle. There's a slight tilt in it. Once again, not a bad thing, but you need to have a strong enough right side to make that work, and that's hard for a lot of people to do. So you see this left side still going, and that same sort of shift back you had in the entry is now a little bit more pronounced here, where you're still kind of back over this right side, and you can still see a little bit of tension through the arms. I don't know if you use any sort of tacky or anything, but that might help relax the arms a little and shoulders a little bit more. That way you can feel the ball better and have more connection. Yeah, right leg's coming off a little bit lethargic. Just sneak it around. And then you can see, because that left side kind of pulls back and up, away, and you have tension through this left shoulder, that you're going to come high on this left foot. Okay, another sign that you're a little bit heavy on the right. And then to keep tension with the hammer, you're going to tighten up your shoulders a little bit more, which you can see it looks like you're shrugging up to your ears a little bit. Right foot comes down flat-footed again. Well, ball the foot and then kind of collapses and goes flat-footed. Once again, making it hard to turn. You catch before 270, which is good. But what do you do with that? That's what matters. And then you can see there's just like a slight leftward or counterclockwise tilt to your posture. Once again here as well. And same thing, that left side is doing most of this work. Tension up in that left shoulder, left leg straightening out, right leg kind of collapsing underneath you. And then that left side opens up early and leaves that right side behind as your right is pointed to 0 and left is pointed to 270. You want this right leg to be turning in the same direction as the right leg, and vice versa. Right leg turning in the same direction as left leg. I think I said that backwards, but you can see there's just some disconnection between this right leg and the hammer, and then your left leg and the hammer. You want everything kind of working together. A little bit of rise up here. Arms, you can see some tension even through the lats a little bit. And then same thing, a little heavy on the right, left leg straightening out, you're a little high on that left leg, you can come down, catch it just about 270, maybe a little bit before, but just looks a little tight through the arms. And same thing, your posture's kind of back, this left shoulder is really over that left foot, or that right leg, instead of that left leg. Hips need to be a little bit more forward, it's kind of like I said in the first turn. And then same thing, that right foot kind of comes down, collapses. And then you can see this left side really doing all the work through the finish. As that right foot, it turns a little bit and you kind of get up and do it okay, but really got to make sure those hips are underneath you, and you finish you see how your left shoulder is super high here and your right shoulder doesn't really, your right shoulder I guess doesn't really work, but you can just see this left shoulder doing all the work in the finish instead of the hips and the torso and the legs. Kind of funky position here, same thing, right foot turn back to 0, left foot turn to 90, and you come through on the finish. So yeah, definitely lots of little tweaks you can make that will definitely help you out, that's for sure. Would love to work with you, do a technical membership, work with you more frequently, try to get some of these things ironed out, because I think they're simple fixes. Like I said, down in the legs a little bit more, bigger winds, wider winds, flatter orbit, and then we just got to work in your posture a little bit, hips more underneath you, relax those arms and shoulders. That's kind of the biggest thing. If you can't feel the hammer, then everything else is kind of a toss-up. So little things you can fix in the entry and winds that'll make a big difference later on, and then you fix those things later on, and then all of a sudden you're throwing 20 feet farther than you were, before. Like I said, always kind of falling heavy under that right leg. You said you're an exercise science major, or athletic training, or something like that. So definitely do some things to work on this right ankle stiffness, because you can see you're losing a lot of energy every time that right foot comes down and collapses and then lands with that heel. Stay up on that ball of the foot like you're jumping. Think about it, every time you go to jump, if your heel hit the ground, you're leaking a lot of energy to that ankle, and that's a lot of efficiency that can help out in the hammer throw. So, all right, Josh, let me know if you have any questions. I'm here to help. If anybody else out there would like a technical analysis or technical coaching or throws programming or lifting program or whatever, hit me up. Go to Sean, or my Instagram is Sean__Don__, or slide in the comments down below. Let me know what you need. Send me an email at sdonnelly757 sdonnelly757 at gmail.com. Let's get to work, because I'm getting back into the coaching grind and would love to help you guys out. Help you guys achieve your goals, crush your goals, and get some work done during these pandemic times. So let me know if you guys need anything from me. Thank you for watching. Sean Don, peacing out until next time.